As we speak, it turned to 6 p.m., so we'll call this meeting of the City Council of Denison, Texas to order for Monday, June the 16th, 2025. And would like to introduce, I don't see Gene. Oh, yes, sorry, it's at the back. Pastor Gene Amerson, pastor of the New Beginning Fellowship, if you'd come forward and offer our invocation. Thank you, sir. Everyone, please stand.
Let's pray together. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for the opportunity we have tonight. Father, I just ask your blessing upon this city. We thank you for it, Father. For those elected officials, that those who serve, Father, we thank you for them. And we thank you, Father, for the wisdom that we have here. We ask, oh God, that you would bring peace to this meeting, that you would bring direction and guidance, and that your kingdom come and your will be done in the midst of this meeting. And oh God, I thank you for the people of this city, and I ask your blessing upon them as well. So join us tonight in this meeting together. In Jesus' precious name, amen.
Amen. And Mary Tate, Director of Development Services, if you would please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Would you please join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance? I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now the Texas Pledge. Honor the
Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. You may be seated. This evening, I have the honor to recognize the Denison Public Library, and so I'll invite Mr. Mitchell and the staff, if you all will please come forward and join me, and we have a very nice plaque to present to you this evening. Here are my notes on this, and we thank you all for being here. What a great library we have, and no one gets to do it by themselves. We have a team, and it always takes a team to get things accomplished, and we appreciate that very much. So the Denison Public Library in Denison, Texas has received the 2024 Achievement of Library Excellence from the Texas Municipal Library Directors Association, also known as the TMLDA, which is an affiliate of the Texas Municipal League. To successfully receive the Achievement of Library Excellence Award, the library must exhibit excellence by providing services to underserved and special populations, marketing in innovative ways, pursuing collaborative efforts, offering enhanced services through unique or expanded programming, providing literacy support, providing for digital inclusion, supporting workforce development, promoting cultural, topical, and educational programming, comprehensively training the staff, and offering other unique services to our community. Of the 542 public libraries in Texas, only 102 received this award. And this is not our first time. How many do we have? All right, this is number 11 for our library. What an amazing thing. So, see if I can do this with two hands or if I need three. So, everybody come around the front. We're going to get a picture. But Greg, if you'll come up. And this is the 2024 Achievement of Library Excellence presented to the Denison Public Library. So, a really outstanding group. That's amazing, 11 of those excellence awards. Now, as we mentioned earlier, we have Councilman Massey joining us on the screens. If he votes, he will raise his hand either in the affirmative or as a dissenter. So that's the way you'll know how Mr. Massey votes. We are now to item number 3, public comments. Citizens may speak on action items listed on the agenda. A request to speak card should be completed and returned to the city clerk upon arrival and prior to the council reaching the public comment section of the agenda. Citizen comments are limited to 3 minutes unless otherwise required by law. Comments related to the public hearings listed below, if any, will be heard at the specific hearing starts. We do have 2 cards this evening, one for Mr. Robert Mears and one for Ms. Shirley Freeland, and we'll bring you up at the appropriate time as we go through the agenda. And so now we have the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented. Second.
Have a motion by Councilman Redwine, a second by Councilman Thomas. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Mr. Massey raises his hand, voting aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. We'll now move into the public hearings, and this is item 5 on our agenda. Ms. York, if you would come up and give us the background, please, on the 41.07 acre tract of land being in the Carruthers survey. Please and thank you.
Yes, sir. Good evening, Mayor and Council. The first item I have for you tonight is a request for a conditional use permit to allow for the operation of an aggregate sales yard within the Union Pacific Rail Yard property. The property is zoned light industrial, and per section 28.49, a conditional use permit is required for this use. The applicant, DeLisi Brothers, is looking to repurpose a locomotive maintenance area within the Union Pacific Rail Yard to allow for the operations of aggregate transloading. The operation of aggregate transloading consists of aggregate arriving to the operation site by rail, being unloaded, stockpiled, and reloaded onto trucks for sales and distribution. They are proposing hours of operation, they do state that hours of operation will be consistent with those currently utilized by Union Pacific Railroad or the rail yard property, which are 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. However, the applicant does state within their project narrative that aggregate sales and loading onto trucks typically occurs between the hours of 4 a.m. and 6 p.m. Monday through Saturday. It should be noted that certain projects, particularly those that are related to TxDOT, may require overnight operations in order to meet timelines. Currently, West Morton Street and Ray Drive serve as the entry and exit point for all truck traffic in and out of Union Pacific Rail Yard. The applicant is proposing the applicant is currently under civil engineering plan review right now to construct a new access road to connect the Union Pacific Railroad property to the Katy Memorial Expressway, which is under US 75. This access road, which is kind of hard to see, but it's on the west side of your screen. This access point will provide the sole ingress and egress for all operations within the Union Pacific Railroad property. In addition to this access road, the applicant is going to, will create barriers will be placed at the entry point that is now currently serving the rail yard, which is at the corner of Ray Drive and Old Morton Street. They will place barriers there to prevent any future truck traffic from coming into that site, and as well as replacing a new locked gate for a gated entry on the eastern side of Ray Yard. It's kind of hard to see on your picture, but there is an entry onto the property from Ray Drive, and they will replace that gate with a new lock gate to serve as access for emergency services only. The applicant will also comply with all local and state required regulations, including but not limited to obtaining any applicable TCEQ permits. Dust will predominantly be mitigated by utilizing a dedicated water spray system and water truck for controlling dust on stockpiles and roadways. The applicant must submit civil engineering plans for the extension of water to be reviewed and approved by staff prior to construction. It should be noted that the aggregate is saturated with water before leaving the shipping facility, which significantly reduces any potential dust being generated during the rail car unloading. However, due to dust just occurring naturally, continuous monitoring of the dust will be conducted and mitigation techniques may be modified to ensure optimal dust suppression is met. To help reduce noise impacts on those neighboring properties to the south, all permanent on-site equipment is to be equipped with the white noise backup alarms, and this type of alarm will ensure safety compliance is met while making a more localized sound that is only loud enough for those around that area to hear. Lastly, there is a significant tree line that runs along the northern side of Ray Drive that separates Ray Drive from the actual rail yards. That existing vegetation does provide a substantial visual and natural screening buffer between Ray Drive and the aggregate yard, and it will be maintained by the property owner as well as the applicant. Lastly, the applicant states within their project narrative that all lighting on site will be designed and shielded to minimize visual impacts on the neighboring properties and will meet the standards that are listed within 28.57 of the zoning ordinance. The future land use plan does designate this area to be developed in a mixed commercial manner. The use of an aggregate sales yard does meet the definition found within the comprehensive plan for mixed commercial. There is a revitalization area overlay designation as well on the future land use plan, and that is geared more towards a mixed use of a neighborhood type. And so while this actual use does not necessarily meet that definition, providing that access point and removing that truck traffic from those local residential streets, as well as providing or being the initial, tenant to revitalize or reactivate that rail yard does meet the revitalization definition. It should be noted that staff has been in contact with the applicant as well as the property owner, Union Pacific Railroad, for almost a year now. And there's been several meetings going back and forth where we've, from staff as well as the applicant, have come to an understanding of what needs to be done for that use to exist with being adjacent to that neighboring property. The application wasn't actually submitted to staff until January. So there's been some significant work from the applicant side as well as staff side and the property owner side. With all of that, staff does recommend approval of the request with some conditions that are listed within the staff report, but just for the record, I'm going to read them. And in your motion, I would ask that you also read them, just so we can have it on record. Staff recommends approval of the request with the following conditions for the conditional use permit: acquisition and compliance with all required state and local permits, continuous abatement of dust and noise related to the aggregate yard operations, maintenance of the existing tree line and vegetation located on the north side of Ray Drive, civil engineering plan approval and construction of the access road located under Highway 75 connecting to Katy Memorial Expressway for all customer and operational traffic within the Union Pacific Rail Yard. Barriers being placed along Ray Drive to prevent customer and operational traffic from entering or exiting Union Pacific Rail Yard, and replacing the gate located on the east side of Ray Drive, requiring access to be locked and available for emergency services only, as well as the last condition, civil engineering plan approval and construction of utility infrastructure for operations. The Planning and Zoning Commission also recommended approval of the request. There were 4 commission members present, 3 voted in favor, and 1 voted not in favor. And I'm present for any questions that you may have, and so is the applicant.
All right, thank you, Ms. York. Questions from council?
I think one of them.
Okay. Mr. Massey?
Yes, sir. The leasing area is approximately 41 acres.
I mean, the size of the aggregate stone itself, I want to make sure that we're not storing bins of potash and cement dust there that is light enough to be carried off by the winds. So it looks like sand, gravel, caliche, and stone. If it looks like if it's a stone yard, it's delivered
I believe so, but I would ask the applicant to answer that question for you just to confirm.
Right. And then the second follow-up question is, it looks like the state of Texas is considering being part of the 92,000-pound truck adjustment and doing some work there. Are the roads, should Texas decide to do that, and it passes objection, going to be able to sustain, and would this operator take advantage of a 92,000-pound load capacity in their road, in their delivery vehicles?
I think I'll ask the applicant to answer that question as well.
The one question for you would be, the roads that they are going to be touching that we already have, are we capable of sustaining that kind of load without putting our other citizens in jeopardy is really the question for the city, and then I will take the answer from the applicant as well.
With the civil engineering plan review, they have submitted a traffic impact analysis that TxDOT has reviewed and city staff has reviewed, and I do believe that that has been approved. So I believe that has been looked at.
And today's approved load capacities, yes?
Yes, sir. Whatever the current standards are today, yes.
But it's going through state right now for adopting a greater than 10% improvement on the weight allowed to be driven on TxDOT roads.
Hang on.
Want to find out if we can be part of that.
They're all TxDOT facilities, they actually won't be using the city roads at all.
So just to clarify, oh, did you hear that, Councilman Massey? Just,
I did, thank you.
okay, thank you. Thank you.
Other questions?
I guess I have a suggestion. The road that's going to be closed off on Ray Drive, possibly having some no truck signs there. That way truckers know to not go there anymore. So.
Yes, sir. And that was discussed during the Planning and Zoning Commission. I do believe that the applicant intends to work with TxDOT as well as city staff to try and establish that signage.
All right. Other questions? If not, this is a public hearing. We'll open the public hearing on this matter. And is there anyone who would like to speak in favor of this proposition this evening? Okay. Yes, sir. If you'd please come forward. We would appreciate each of you giving us your name and address for the record, and then we look forward to your comments.
Leland Miser, 8300 North Oklahoma Avenue, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, 73114. We're privileged and honored to be here tonight. I'm the president of DeLisi Brothers Company. I've recently celebrated my 36th year of employment with the company, so I've been with them a long time. Just to share a small token of DeLisi history and who we are. The company began in 1902 in Chicago, Illinois, and they actually provided aggregates to construct the railroad as it was being built. And so providing those construction materials to the railroad, the company followed it down south into the Midwest. We actually set up home base in Oklahoma as DeLisi. And so actually DeLisi Brothers Company has been in Oklahoma longer than Oklahoma's been a state. Our company history is deeply rooted in the rail business. And so we're very familiar with that. We currently operate 10 stone quarries, over 40 ready-mix operations in Oklahoma, 4 sand plants in Oklahoma, and also 4 transload facilities, aggregate transload facilities, which are very much the same as what we're proposing here in Denison. 3 of those operate in Oklahoma, and 1 of them operates currently in Fort Worth, Texas. And we also understand that the city of Denison has a very rich history in the railroad, as a railroad town, and so we're very excited about the possibility of just being part of this community. I'm proud and of our experienced and highly competent team that has been working on this project for close to a year now. We've worked very closely with Union Pacific Railroad to form a functional site design. We've also worked with the city of Denison and highlighting transparency, growth, and site improvements. This dedication was to create a win-win-win scenario, and that meaning, a win for the city of Denison, a win for the Union Pacific Railroad, and a win for DeLisi. So we're honored to be here tonight, and we would love being part of this community. And with that being said, I'll turn it over to our project manager for more details.
All right. Your name and address, please, sir.
My name is Andy Artema. I am at 8300 North Oklahoma Avenue, Oklahoma City. I am a licensed engineer in multiple states, including the state of Texas. My background is mostly in engineering and project management. I've been working on this project for over a year now. We started this project with the access road before we submitted anything on the CUP application. We knew that that access road was a critical piece of the application. Traffic is currently going through the neighborhood via Ray Drive, and this access road would eliminate all truck traffic going through the neighborhood. This application is to repurpose an existing rail yard and become an aggregate transload facility. And what that means is a transload facility is basically a product coming in by rail. It will be offloaded, put on the trucks, and then brought to customer sites. The product will be an aggregate material, which is a naturally occurring type of stone. Our primary product will be a concrete stone. I have a little jar here to kind of show you what that looks like. And this is a basic building block for all types of construction. Goes into ready-mix concrete, asphalt, goes into roads, bridges, buildings, the infrastructure that we use every single day. Something I want to point out is the site boundary. The site boundary is just north of that vegetated area, and we wanted to create what we're calling as a buffer zone, which is keep that vegetated area there. Some of that buffer zone, that vegetated area has trees that reach almost 50 feet tall, kind of create this separation between Ray Drive and the site. I want to point out a couple other things within the application. One of them is noise. All of our equipment will be equipped with white noise backup alarms. And I have a little presentation I'd like to show you of what that sounds like. This is what a factory backup alarm sounds like. It's very loud, it's very radiating. The tone will travel a long distance compared to a white noise backup alarm. Sounds a little bit more like static. And it's designed not to radiate as far and be a little bit more localized to only alarm those within the immediate vicinity that equipment is backing up. Another thing I want to note is regarding dust. Dust will be mitigated predominantly with water. Dust in its nature is very dynamic, and it has to be something that has to be constantly monitored and adjusted for. We have experience in many different facilities controlling dust. Something to note on this is the product will already be coming in processed. There is no crushing, there is no screening, there is no ready-mix batch plant, there is no asphalt. All this application is a aggregate transload facility, rock being brought in by rail, being offloaded, put on the customer trucks, and brought to a customer site. Within the application, within the access road application, there is a significant traffic impact study known as a TIA, which has been done with coordination with the city, TxDOT, a transportation engineering firm that specializes in traffic impact studies. That access road has been designed per TxDOT standards, which has gone through multiple reviews within the city and TxDOT. We consider this access road as a significant investment, both for Denison as a significant investment into the local community, making Ray Drive a more peaceful place for residents, taking all that truck traffic that's currently going through the neighborhood and putting it onto that access road. I think we're excited to become a part of the Denison community and become a partner with the city of Denison.
All right, thank you. On the jar that you brought with us, could you share that with anyone in the audience that wants to see what the aggregate looks like? And I know you had a public information day at one of our local churches and made available this information as well and answered any questions from the community.
Through this application process, we've really tried to over-communicate, and we've created that website called Denison on Rails to kind of explain more about our operations and what's included in our application. We've held information open house that you mentioned at the local church. We've met one-on-one with multiple neighbors, and we really want to become a strong partner with the city of Denison.
All right, thank you very much, gentlemen. I appreciate you being here tonight. And that's, we've heard from the owners. Is there anyone who would like to speak in favor of or against this proposal this evening? I do have one card, and we'll ask Shirley Freeland. Ms. Freeland, would you like to come up and make your comments? And thank you for being here, and if we could get your name and address, please.
I am Shirley Freeland. I live at 2801 Juanita Drive, Denison, Texas.
All right, thank you. Welcome.
I'm here to say that I love my property. I have 3.5 acres at the end of Juanita. The railroad is right behind me. But I love my property for 3 reasons. One is it's for children. I have 32 great-grandchildren, 5 generations in my family. I've had 2 that went to work for the little Katie. It was bought up by UP, and they recently retired in the past 2 years. One was an engineer, one was a bridge and rail inspector. I let children play soccer on my property. I keep it cut and clean for them, but the rain here lately hasn't let me cut it. But I will be cutting it. I just love my property, and I don't want to give any of it up and don't want nobody on it, except the ones that I would like to have to practice baseball and Little League.
So do you think this project would be on your property?
I don't know where it would be at.
I don't believe that it will be. Does anyone have an answer to that?
I just know I have a
think the
letter that said that, you know,
it
they
will
were
be near your
interested.
property, but I don't believe any part of this project would be on your property. So you should not have any issues with that.
Good.
Okay.
Thank you.
And thank you for your family serving the Katy and the Union Pacific. Is there anyone else that would like to speak either in favor of or against this project? The one thing I might ask is Councilman Massey had a couple of questions. Could one of you come back up and maybe help us address those? He was talking about the 92,000-pound truck adjustments and the load traffic impact analysis, and there may be one more, but if you could, Mr. Artemuth, could you please give us an update on what you think about that?
Yeah, within the application on the access road, there is a traffic impact study, which they do look at kind of existing traffic as well as proposed traffic, and they take into account kind of future growth of the area, and all that kind of goes in coordination with the application, which is then reviewed and submitted per TxDOT standards to the city, and then within the city of Denison, you guys permit the TxDOT application, which is still reviewed by TxDOT.
Understanding that, I used to own a concrete company for delivery, and I also know that if we drop an extra axle on the back, we can start adding extra weight and extra capacity. My concern with the Texas legislature is that if they approve this additional weight, they are burdening the local communities with the additional wear and tear on the state infrastructure, or the city's responsibility to infrastructure. And currently, the truckers, myself included, when I was running trucks, is taking care of about 80% of the wear and tear costs that they develop. And if we increase the weights, which I could see no binding reason you wouldn't on the delivery, it makes more sense in efficiency, especially given our reduction in the ability to provide qualified drivers. That there's a chance that what we are doing is building to today's specs with the opportunity for the state to allow additional scope. So that's not, for me, a future possibility doesn't make for a today refusal. It simply is a question of, in the event that the state allows an increase in the gross weight capacity of the trucks, one, do you anticipate that your business would take advantage of that in our community? And two, to the city staff, do our existing streets and bridges in the area that would be conduits for throughput of your product to the consumer, whether that be a TxDOT or builder developer, are they going to withstand that additional weight without incurring for our future incurrent citizens a cost or a risk?
So I believe what you have said is that your trucks will be on TxDOT right-of-way. They should not be going through the city, but I'm assuming that as a truck leaves, it will go south up to Highway 120, go through the light, and enter the southbound lanes of US 75.
That is correct.
Is
The
that-
majority of
is
the
that right?
traffic will go south on US 75.
All right.
The access road is connected to the Katy, I want to say it's the Katy Memorial Expressway, which is the
Yes, sir.
frontage road right next to US 75.
Okay. Does that help, Josh?
Yes, but your future consumers of the aggregate that you are throughputting may be on 120 as the developers decide to start taking 1,000-acre tracts and moving into the development. Or it could be over in our new 3,000-acre master plan, in which case some of the throughput traffic would be on roads that ultimately we would be responsible for, some of which have bridges that are currently intact, correct?
I think it is important to note that this aggregate material is already coming into the city of Denison via truck. The only difference with this application is it will then become into the city of Denison via rail and then brought into
And then trucked out.
the customer sites via truck. So the overall truck mileage is going to be reduced with the aggregate coming in by rail.
And the other question I had was on the particulate. What is do you have a minimum on the aggregate? The sand, I presume, would be the minimum. We're not looking at a potash distribution addition at some point.
That is correct. This is just an aggregate application, with the primary product being a concrete stone, a number 57 concrete stone.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. Thanks, Mr. Artema. Is there anyone else here to speak in favor of or oppose this proposal?
Councilman Massey has me thinking, I guess in the event of possibly this road not being able to take the load, if we are going to be having trucks that has 10% more capacity, in that event of a road maybe being closed for repairs, would we ever reopen the access from Ray Drive if something like that happened?
Go ahead, please.
So the way that the condition is states right now, is that the sole access will be onto that access road. That's a big what if.
Blame Josh for that question.
But they would have to get a different, or an amendment to the permit, is that correct?
Yes.
So
That-
they
so
couldn't
that-
just do it. If we're going to close roads, they're going to have to work through the city and amend the current permit.
Yeah, and it wouldn't just be for this tenant, it's for any tenant within the Union Pacific rail yard. That the way that this has been presented to staff as well, and representatives of UPR are also here, but this access road is going to be the sole access for the rail yards. That means for any current tenants that are there, any future tenants, and then as well as this applicant. The goal is to remove all of that truck traffic from those residential streets.
All right. Okay, thank you
Yes, sir.
for that answer. Anyone else to speak for or against this proposition? If not, we'll close the public hearing. Back to the council. Any additional questions or comments? Any? All right. Is there a motion?
Mayor, I moved. You got it. It's a long one.
Go ahead. Yeah, you get to read for a while, sir.
I move to approve an ordinance approving the proposed conditional use permit for the use of sand, gravel, caliche, stone sales, storage, allowing for the operation of an aggregate sales yard with the following conditions: acquisition and compliance with all required state and local permits, continuous abatement of dust and noise related to the aggregate yard operations, maintenance of the existing tree line and vegetation located on the north side of Ray Drive, civil engineering plan approval and construction of the access road located under Highway US 75 connecting to Katy Memorial Expressway for all customer and operational traffic within the Union Pacific Rail Yard. Barriers being placed along Ray Drive to prevent customers and operational traffic from entering or exiting Union Pacific Rail Yard, and replacing the gate located on the east side of the Ray Drive requiring access to be locked and available for emergency services only. Civil engineering plan approval and construction of utility infrastructure for operations.
Second.
All right, there's a motion by Councilman Courtright, a second by Councilman Thomas. Any other discussion or comments? If not, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Josh raises his hand as an aye vote. Are there any opposed? None opposed, so the motion carries unanimously. What I'd like to say to the Union Pacific team and to the Denison team, we thank you for your efforts. I don't think we've ever had a company wanting to do business in our town who has been more transparent, made a greater effort to get to the neighborhoods, into the neighborhoods, knocking on doors, setting up a meeting, a public meeting area in a church to go over your products. So please note that the city noticed how you did this, and we just thank you for trying to be transparent and being transparent. And so we look forward to working with you in our community.
And y'all came here on the night where your Oklahoma City Thunder are playing in Oklahoma City right now. Y'all came down for this.
And that's big, yeah. And we appreciate you all being here. You're excused if you'd like to be, and we'll move to item number 5B for a public hearing. Ms. York, are you up again? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor and Council, the second item I have for you tonight is a request to rezone approximately 7.7 acres for property commonly known as 2430 West Coffin Street from the single-family SF 7.5 residential district to the single-family 7.5 residential district to allow for residential use. This is an aerial view of that subject property located on South Coffin, west of South Park Avenue, and the zoning aerial of that property as well. The applicant is seeking this rezone from the 7.5 zoning district to the SF5 zoning district to develop an approximately 42 single-family subdivision. Per their project, the applicant's project narrative, the development will be constructed in a thoughtful manner. The applicant intends to utilize architectural design standards, landscaping, and streetscaping that meets or exceeds the minimum requirements listed within section 28.51.7, which is the minimum landscaping requirements for single-family and duplex lots. And they will also create a homeowners association to maintain any detention and common areas. I should note this is just a zoning concept. This is not finalized. This layout could potentially change depending on civil engineering plan review, but there are some common areas depicted on this concept plan. The subject property consists of 2 parcels that are dissected by dedicated city right-of-way for the continuation of South Bluebonnet Avenue. The applicant must design and construct this street to city standards as well as any additional internal public streets and the connection to existing city streets such as Arapahoe Drive. Upon approval of the proposed zoning, the applicant must move forward with submitting a preliminary plat to be reviewed by staff and approved by the Planning and Zoning Commission, as well as civil engineering plans and a final plat to be reviewed and approved by city staff. All applicable city design and construction standards found within the Public Works Design Manual and Construction Standards and within Chapter 22 subdivision regulations must be met when designing and constructing all city infrastructure. Through the preliminary plat and civil engineering plan submittal and review, the applicant must submit a traffic impact estimate or analysis to aid in determining if additional traffic mitigation will be required. Additionally, a tree survey must be submitted with the preliminary plat and a tree preservation plan, and any necessary mitigation requirements are required at the time of final plat application. It should be noted that the proposed development, regardless of the zoning, is subject to impact fees and park dedication fees. The future land use plan does designate this area to be developed in a neighborhood manner. For this reason, staff does recommend approval of the request, and the Planning and Zoning Commission also recommended approval at their meeting held on June 10th. It should be noted that there was some heavy discussion at the Planning and Zoning Commission related to parking. It was mentioned, the applicant, and they can speak more to this when they come up here to speak on their item. It was mentioned that they do intend to create codes and covenants. As I mentioned, they are creating an HOA for this property. The commission did ask that they include some design standards related to parking within those codes and covenants. The single-family 5 zoning district, the minimum parking requirements is a one-car carport, a one-car garage, and then one additional space in the driveway. The single-family 7.5 parking requirements is a 2-car garage with 2 additional spaces in the drive. It was the intention of the commission to try and find a path forward for the requirement of a 2-car garage. And the applicant did state that their intention was to construct a 2-car garage, but I do want to make the council aware that just because it's in a code and covenants or an HOA does not mean that the city can enforce those requirements. We can only enforce what is in an ordinance. So I just wanted to make you guys aware of that. As I mentioned, staff does recommend approval, and so did the Planning and Zoning Commission. And I'm present for any questions that you may have, and the applicant is here as well.
All right, any questions of Ms. York? Mr. Massey, did you hear all of the comments?
I did.
Any questions? Council, any questions?
My only concern is it's a little hard to read on my screen, so my apologies if this is obvious to everyone else. But in some of our other communities, the last lot before a 90-degree intersection where there would be a stop sign, depending on the placement of the driveway and the width of the driveway, the single versus double car access for parking on property forces an in-street parking situation that would be within that 15-foot prohibition for the stop sign, and therefore potentially putting somebody at risk if they were to park at that edge, even though that is directly in front of their property. So as I look through this, it looks like there may be a couple that you've got somebody in the last outbound section that would possibly create a challenge for low vehicles to see around a parked SUV perhaps, or to enter into an active street where there's a stop sign that would prohibit that 15 feet. So I just can't read the fine print on some of the smaller ones next to those T intersections.
Thank you, Councilman. It should be noted that this is just a concept plan. I agree that taking a look at that, it's a really good concept plan, so it is also something that staff provided comments on through their zoning submittal, even though it's not an actual site plan or preliminary plat submittal, but all of those items would be addressed at the time of preliminary plat as well as civil engineering plan review, just to ensure that that safety measure is met.
So so it limits our approval today to simply can they put a step 5?
Yes, sir.
Understood. Thank you.
Thank you.
I see Arapahoe on here. Where is Blue Bonnet?
Blue Bonnet will be, so right now, the way that you may be able to see it a little bit here. So Blue Bonnet, you can kind of see it to the north of Coffin Street. There is an invisible line dissecting those 2 parcels, and that is Blue Bonnet Drive. That right-of-way right now is probably not 50-foot right-of-way, which is the minimum, and so they will obviously have to take in some of their property in order to meet that right-of-way requirement.
So that's the street going up and down between the 2 blue
Yes, sir.
boxes?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Any other questions for Ms. York? All right. Thank you, Ms. York. The owners of this property are here this evening, and if you'd like to come forward and state your name, give us your address, please, for the record, and any comments that you would care to make. Oh, sorry.
Open the public, yeah.
Before you speak, I now declare the public meeting is open, and now you may go forward.
Good evening, Mayor and council members, and ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to speak here. My name is Pushpan Rajian. I live in 2720 Power Court in Lucas, Texas, 75002. So we are requesting for a zoning change from 7,500 square feet to 5,000. So pretty much we are adding around 10 to 15 houses more. And as per the 5,000 square feet lot size, we can, I believe there we can build minimum 950 square feet houses, but that's not our intent. If I do that, probably I cannot sell it. By myself, I am a owner plus developer and a builder. We've been building homes in City of Colony and City of Lucas, and also I built some homes in Dallas County too. So I'm pretty much aware of the market and everything. So my goal is to build at least 1,600 square feet houses minimum, plus with 2 car garages. That's our idea, because I don't want to lose the aesthetic and create value for the neighborhood. So if I build small houses, it's going to impact the neighbors. So my idea is to build something, create value for the neighborhoods and for us also. So this is the first project we are coming into Denison County, so we wanted to get a good name for ourselves. So, and I'll be more than happy to answer any questions if you guys have.
All right. Any questions from council for the owner? All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you
All
very
right.
much.
At this time, continuing the public meeting, we have one request to speak card. It's from Mr. Robert Mears at 2401 Caprice. So, Mr. Mears, if you'd come up and state your name again and your address again, and we'll keep moving forward. Thank you, sir.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. I am Robert Mears. I live at 2401 Caprice Avenue, Denison, Texas. We are opposed to the zoning change. It doesn't have to do with the building of the houses. We just feel like it needs to be consistent with what's already in our neighborhood. You cut down the size of the lots, you cut down the size of the houses. We don't like that. There are some things that I know that was mentioned in the presentation about traffic mitigation, things like that. Flooding, that property slopes down towards about 4-5 yards, and we get flooded every time we get a big rain, and mud. We actually have a pool in our backyard, and we've had to have mud cleaned out of our pool 3 or 4 times. We've lived there for 33 years, and it's a constant problem a lot of times. Now, the rain that we've had lately, it hasn't been a problem because it hasn't just rained and rained and rained. But we do have a problem, and I know that the flooding issue will be looked at in the engineering study. Coffin Street is a very narrow, barely 2-lane car when you meet each other, and there are sides that drop off down into the country. And if you're not careful, if you meet one and you've got to pull over, you've got to stay on the pavement or you'll go off. And the traffic has gotten considerably worse with the construction since they closed our exit off of 75. We no longer have it. Well, people, and to get around to 75 from Park, they either come Coffin or they have to go all the way around and come back to where Loy Lake is anyway. So the traffic has really gotten worse because of that. It really started when all the housing was built on Park. Our traffic really got worse as those houses were being built on Park. But now because of the construction, it's gotten worse. And I understand in the presentation that traffic will be looked at. I hope they look at it really well. You have one way in off of Coffin, and then the other one goes all the way down to Arapahoe, all around the corner. If you've ever driven Coffin, and hopefully you have, right where Bluebonnet is, there is a rise. Bluebonnet comes in there, there's a stop sign. And people pretty well do what they're supposed to do there. Our driveway backs out onto Coffin. And there are times in the 33 years that we've lived there that we've nearly been hit because of cars coming over that hill. You can look, nothing's there, and all of a sudden, here they come. So it is a problem, and I would hope that at some point in time that Coffin gets some work done to it. The last issue that we have, and it has not been mentioned, if you look at the plat that was presented, there's 2 common areas, and right in the middle of those 2 common areas is an Atmos gas relay station, pumping station. Now, I've been told that there is 800 PSI going through that pipeline. And all it takes when they start working infrastructure, started clearing land. All it takes is one person on the backhoe to cause a big problem. And I don't know, I'm hoping that Atmos will be contacted when all this starts. We're not opposed, and I want to say that, we're not opposed to the houses. We're opposed to the size of the houses and what needs to be done to help our neighborhood that's already existing there in that area. And I appreciate your time.
Thank you very much for coming. Appreciate it, sir. Okay, is there anyone else who would desire to speak either in favor of or in opposition to this item on the agenda? Seeing none, this public hearing is closed. Questions, comments from council?
And this is just,
Drive that direction regularly, Mayor, and looked at buying that property years ago. And the gentleman is correct. That coffin area is dangerous. I'm not sure in our master plan for roads whether we have a near-term solution that would widen it or whether it would be part of a future consideration on the development plan when it's submitted. And he's also correct that there's a lot of drainage off to the side where there's a particular drop-off and a lot of, if I remember right, a bunch of elevated manhole covers, if I'm not correct. So I share those concerns and would in the future where we're no longer discussing the size of the lots, but now the actual approval for the plan with the city, be prepared for questions accordingly.
Thank you.
I guess what Mr. Mears was referencing the rain and the water issues, I guess, whose responsibility would that be in order to make sure that that's mitigated and a good plan for, I guess, stormwater? So.
Ms. York, welcome back.
Thank you. I may speak a little out of my depth on this, but I know Fanchen will correct me if I'm wrong. So through the civil engineering plan review, they are showing a few areas for detention. It'll be determined if those detention areas are adequate enough to take on all of the runoff from those properties. If it is not, they may have to do an upstream, downstream assessment to determine if additional detention is needed. But all of that is reviewed within the civil engineering plan review. Lot to lot drainage is not allowed. So all of those items, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's a no rise requirement. And so it would be determined through those plan review to try and either mitigate or find ways to ensure that there is no additional water flow to those adjacent properties. Is that correct? Okay. Thank you.
So there is a no rise requirement involved?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So with this sample, of course, this is not the official plans.
This is correct.
As far as the rezoning, what we're doing, we're essentially allowing this many properties at this size to be there, possibly?
Not necessarily. So what you as council are considering is a request to rezone to allow for that single-family 5.
And single-family 5, what is the lot size, I guess? Is there a minimum
Yes,
lot
sir.
width? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Cool.
So it's a 5,000 square foot lot with a minimum width of 50, minimum depth of 100.
And currently, the properties on Arapahoe and surrounding existing properties, are these about 75 to 100-foot wide properties?
They are zoned that, and I, from a very high-level review, I didn't pull the plat to confirm it, but I would say yes, those do meet close enough to the 7,500 requirements. This is just a concept. It's pretty typical through the plan review for preliminary plat. By the time a preliminary plat gets to final plat, it's typically changed pretty, not substantially, but sometimes they are pretty substantial through that civil engineering plan review. And as Mr. Mears mentioned, there are a lot of things to consider: the traffic, the gas line, as well as the water, or to avoid any flooding. And all of that is looked at. That's it's heavy on staff to review all of that through the civil engineering plan review. And sometimes what you see here is not what it looks like at the beginning. So I will say that during the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, I did mention that through that traffic estimate or through a TIA, depending on where we as staff land. Typically, if the trips don't exceed 1,000 trips a day, a TIA or a traffic impact analysis is not required. It may be required given how many homes do exist there, the number of traffic estimate, additional traffic that is coming onto those local streets. But through whether it's an estimate or an analysis, it may be determined that additional mitigation is required and additional improvements are required to some of those local streets, and I would imagine that includes Coffin. That's not a confirmation at the moment, but it is something to be mindful of.
This is a question for the owner. And Josh, I've got a question real quick. I wasn't sure if I heard, does the HOA not allow street parking? Does it allow street parking with the HOA covenants?
The street will be a public street, so it can't necessarily, and correct me if I'm wrong, Julie, but an HOA cannot govern a public right-of-way.
I think they can have rules about the time, how long vehicles can be parked and, the size and type of vehicles, but the HOA probably doesn't exist yet.
No.
And the zoning ordinance does not require one to be created.
That is correct.
AT, during my initial introduction to Frisco, this is now 25 years ago, they had neighborhoods about 2 miles north of 121 between Preston and Hillcrest that were in the SF5 zoning. You get one car in the street if possible as the total width available between the concrete and the property boundary line, and they were able to put two car garages, so a 2-car in garage, 2-car in the driveway is possible, and not enough room to put a bull in the back, but enough to have a dog. Big dog's gonna be upset, little dog will be fine. They moved to SF6 on the as they moved closer to 121, which was we started with. You can fit about a 2,500 square foot house on that if you could go straight up, and you get the same parking frontage and the same, basically they're 50, 55, 60 foot wide. So you still get one, maybe 2 small cars in the front on the street. The streets look up here in this rendering to be something like both sides of the street taking advantage of the same opportunity. You get somebody running through there tight, be very much like Main Street, kind of feel how much use you have of a single lane. But it is possible for a single family. And I think what this serves in our community is the entry point on a 1,500 square foot house is going to be a first-time home buyer or a family who's just added a person or two to their crowd. And as such, it's a need that we're not really servicing all that well, especially in density. So I worked in Frisco in this size for a while, and not terrible, but it's certainly not a really easy street to be driving down or give you a lot of room for entertaining.
Thank you, Mr. Massey, for your comments. Any other questions or comments? I think, to me, one of the, I agree that the traffic on Coffin is an issue, and the Atmos gas plant there is an issue. The biggest issue to me is on-street parking. And I believe I heard you mention a while ago that what you wanted to do was 2-car garages with a 2-car parking area outside the garage. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. That is correct.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Sure. I mean, if you like. Yes, sir.
Sure. So just to give you an example that I am building 43 townhomes in the colony, where the lot width, it's a townhome, but the width is only 24 feet, where we could able to build 2-car garages with 2 parking on the driveway. So this is pretty much achievable, just to let you, I mean, if you want, give the address, I can give the address also in case It's a 5700 North Colony Boulevard is where we already building similar homes, just to let you know. So
Okay.
this is pretty much achievable, having 2-car garages and 2 parking
Two-car
on the
parking
driveway.
out
Yes, sir.
front. Okay, if we, I think we have a couple of options here. One would be to consider a plan development.
Sure.
Which would ensure that we gather the or get the 2-car garages and 2-car parking areas.
Sure.
And it would also, the plan development would also give the city and the developer more chances to visit with each other,
Sure.
to be sure that everybody's on the same page. The flooding is an issue and all that, but that will all be taken care of with engineering, planning, and those processes.
Yes, sir.
So, but as it stands right now, we could not require you to do a 2-car garage and 2-car parking without going to a plan development.
Sure.
Is that correct, Ms. York? Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Are you building to lease these or building to sell them?
I'm building to sell them, sir.
Okay, gotcha.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Council? All right.
I think I like the idea with so many houses going around. I think I like the plan development idea
exactly.
better. You know, if this is 1 or 2 lots, switching it, that's a different deal. But since we're putting in 40-some homes, I think a plan development is a better way to go about it.
Would you be opposed to working with the city on a plan development?
No, sir.
Okay. All right, thank you. We will, anyone else want to speak on behalf of or opposed to this project? Oh, okay, I've closed. We'll close it twice, so, sorry.
Double close.
All right. So any other discussion from council?
No, sir.
So is,
Do we need to?
We'll need to add the language.
we'll need to add some language about the plan development with the base zoning of an SF5. And with that only change to the SF5 standards would be being a 2-car garage with 2 additional parking places. Is there any other discussion? If not, is there a motion?
I move to approve an ordinance rezoning the subject property from SF 7.5 Single Family Residential District to SF 5 Single Family Residential District with the additional stipulation that they have 2-car garages and it be a planned community. Also 2 additional parking spaces in the driveway.
Yeah, wait, we don't want to switch to SF5, we want to switch into a plan development.
Correct.
Oh, I need to, yeah, sorry, thank you.
It would be a plan
It
development
would
with
just be a plan
SF5 as the base
Right.
zoning, and then the only changes to the base zoning standards would be 2-car garage and 2 off-street parking spaces in addition to the garage.
Quick question, did you say two off-street parking? Did I hear that correct?
Yeah, so 2 in the driveway and 2 in the garage.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Any other discussion on that? Is there a second to the plan development with
Second.
the SF5 base zoning?
Second.
Have a motion and a second to go with a plan development in this neighborhood with a base zoning of an SF5 with only a change to the SF5 standards being the 2-car garage and 2 additional off-street parking areas. Any other questions, discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Mr. Massey votes aye. Any opposed? No opposed. Motion carries. We'll now move to item number C for the 2700 Randell Lake Road property. Ms. York,
Thank you, sir.
thank you.
The last item I have for you tonight is a request to rezone approximately 10 acres from the agricultural zoning district to the SF10 residential district for residential use. As a reminder, this case was tabled by the city council at their meeting held on June 16th, or I'm sorry, June 2nd. I'm sorry, today is June 16th. Thank you. The applicant is requesting a rezone from ag to SF10 for residential use. This application started with a final plat application. Through the review of the final plat, it was determined that there was not enough frontage to rezone, or I'm sorry, to replat 2 lots from a parcel. The agricultural zoning district requires a minimum width of 300 feet, and the full width of this property is less than 600. Staff did recommend that the applicant pursue a rezoning to allow for a smaller width, and because, sorry, I'm going to flip back. Oh. Maybe I'm going to flip back. So I'm not going to flip back. There we go. Thank you, Chris. To the north, you can kind of see that pale color zoning that is SF10. And so the staff recommended that the applicant pursue the single-family 10 zoning district, given that that was the only zoning district within this area. The single-family 10 or SF10 allows for a minimum width of 100 and then a minimum depth of 100 down, or yeah, a minimum depth of the lot 100. So minimum requirement is 10,000 square feet for the lot. In order to move forward with the plat, a rezone is necessary. Otherwise, the applicant would have to plat the parcel into a single lot. It should be noted that on the proposed plat, there are 2 lots. One of those lots is designated as Lot 2, and the other one is designated as Lot 1. Lot 2 does have a structure located on it that is a residential structure. Lot 1 is vacant. I do believe the applicant intends to retain what is on here proposed Lot 2 and to sell the proposed Lot 1. Any development that comes forward on Lot 1 will have to meet all city standards. However, we are just taking, or staff is just asking that the council take action on the zoning tonight. The future land use plan does designate this area to be developed in a neighborhood manner. For that reason, staff recommends approval of the request, and the Planning and Zoning Commission did also recommend approval at their meeting held on May 27th. I'm present for any questions you may have, and the applicant is here tonight.
Potentially, how many lots can, with these SF10 lots, how many can you fit on at Lot 1?
2.
Just 2, okay. Just trying to make sure.
So altogether, with that width, they could potentially get a maximum of 4 lots.
4 lots, okay.
Other questions? All right, thank you, Ms. York. This is a public hearing. Is there anyone, are the owners here this evening? All right. If you don't mind, please come forward, state your name and address, and please give us your thoughts.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. It's a privilege to be here. Thank you for having me. I'm Ella Solomon, the owner of 2700 Randall Lake Road. Just wanted to clarify the goal to divide the property. Currently, we have an ag exemption on the land, which is about 9.98 acres. We have one single-family structure on the property, which is about 995 square foot, 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom house with an attached barn/garage. It's vacant. We rarely go there, yet we keep paying taxes on the property. So the goal is to retain the land. We have bees on the property, and we were able to get ag exemption, and it's a beautiful property, and we'd like to keep it for future use for our retirement, but would like to sell the single-family structure, zone it properly, and then sell it. That's an ultimate goal.
All right. I don't know if I caught your address. Did you mention your address when you?
Yes, sir. It's
Okay.
2700 Randall Lake Road in Denison, Texas.
Okay. That's the property address, and where do you live?
I live in Salina, Texas, 3001 Creek Point Drive, Salina, Texas, 75009.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, any questions from council on the owner, or to the owner?
I guess ultimately, the ag exempt, that's something that will have to happen on the county level to make sure that if you can or can't maintain that ag exemption on that property?
We currently have 7 beehives, and so the requirement to keep 7 beehives is to have at least 7 acres of land. If we divide it accordingly, where a single-family house is surrounded by at least an acre of land, we'll have more than 7 acres left to keep our ag exemption.
And that's handled at the county level, right?
Yeah, right.
Any other questions? All right, thank you, ma'am.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
you
Thank you
being
so
here.
much. Thank you.
Is there anyone here to speak in favor of or opposed to this item on the agenda? All right, none appearing. We'll close the public hearing. Back to the council. Questions, comments from the council? Any questions? Josh, anything? All right. All right. Do we have a motion on this agenda item?
Mayor, I move to adopt the ordinance rezoning the subject property from the Ag zoning district to the SF10 single-family residential zoning district.
I second that.
All right. All right, there is a motion by Councilman Thomas, a second by Councilman Redwine and Councilman Massey. Any other questions or comments? All right, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? And Mr. Massey votes aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. We'll move to the next item on the agenda, which is item D, and we'll call on Ms. Tate. Good evening. Again.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This item is in regard to a demolition that took place at 1927 West Johnson Street. At the May 5th meeting, you all approved a resolution setting today as the public hearing date to hear the cost of possibly assessing a lien on that property. Staff completed the demo and cleanup on February 24th of this year at a cost of $8,077.88. Interested parties were notified of the public hearing through certified mail on May 29th. All letters were returned to our city offices. I'm happy to answer any questions at this point in time. This is a public hearing, and so at this time, I'd ask that you open that public hearing.
All right, this is a public hearing. It's now open for item D on our agenda. Is there anyone here to speak in favor of or opposed to this item D? Seeing and hearing none, this public hearing is closed. Back to the council. Any questions or comments? All right, is there a motion?
Mayor, I move to approve an ordinance finding the reasonableness of the cost of the demolition of structures situated at 1927 West Johnson Street in the city of Denison, Texas, to abate a public nuisance, levying an assessment of the cost totaling $8,077.88, together with the interest thereon at the rate of 10% per annum, and assessing the amount of the cost for such demolition as the lien against such real property.
Is there a second?
Second.
Have a motion by Councilman Courtright, a second by Councilman Thomas. Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And Councilman Massey votes aye. All opposed? None opposed. The motion carries unanimously. We'll move to item E on our agenda, please, and Ms. Amanda Parsons.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you for having me. I'm here today to discuss a small tract of land less than 1 acre, located off of Pool Road just behind TMC, also known as Iron Ore Creek Cemetery. The area is landlocked and currently only accessible through a access license agreement with UHS of Texoma. A little bit of background about the cemetery. The Texas Historical Commission, as of April 30th, 2010, designated the cemetery as a historic Texas cemetery. However, the area had not been properly maintained until the city stepped in and volunteered in 2021. The city volunteered to restore and actively maintain the site. Since then, the city has been involved with many efforts and attempts to try and locate a property owner, and unfortunately, we have not been successful in doing so. Due to this, the staff is requesting that City Council, in accordance with the Texas Health and Safety Code 713.009, declare that the city, on behalf of the public, take possession and control of the cemetery. as of April 15th of 2025. And this will be done through the adoption of a resolution and an action plan for care and maintenance of the cemetery. There have been specific legal notices, requirements, and conditions, all of which staff have met at this time. And so we ask that City Council conduct a public hearing to consider the public health, safety, comfort, and welfare of the cemetery. And I'm available for any questions.
All right. Questions for Ms. Parsons?
This is believed to be an old slave cemetery, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Any other questions, comments? All right, Ms. Parsons, thank you. Thank you. This is a public hearing. We'll open the hearing at this time. Is there anyone to speak in favor of or against this item E on our agenda? Seeing none, hearing none, this public hearing is closed. We'll move back to council. Any other questions or comments? Is there a motion?
Mayor, I move to adopt a resolution to take possession and control of the Iron Ore Creek Cemetery no later than August 15, 2025, and act upon adopting an action plan for the maintenance and care of Iron Ore Creek Cemetery as presented.
A second.
Have a motion by Councilman Thomas, second by Councilman Redwine. Any other questions, comments, discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Councilman Massey votes aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Now to item 6 on our agenda, items for individual consideration. Receive report, hold discussion, and take action on the approval of a streets overlay services purchase proposal in the amount of $619,580 from area-wide paving. Mr. Urban Pereira, greetings.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The item I have for your consideration tonight is the approval of a cooperative purchase proposal with area-wide paving for asphalt overlay services as part of our fiscal year 2025 streets program. The streets being presented tonight were presented to the Streets Committee back on June 5th, and the Streets Committee recommended moving forward and bringing them to council. There was a slight change, and we are holding back a little bit of funding for a concrete roadway repair that will be brought to council at a later date with a different contractor. This year, for fiscal year 2025, we have exactly $700,000 budgeted for our streets program. It's $200,000 more than the previous fiscal year, so we have a little bit more money to work with. The streets being presented to council tonight were selected by staff using data from our pavement condition assessment. If council remembers, we brought that to for a presentation, a project to update to you back in January 21st. So basically, staff is taking data from that assessment and using that data to select the streets that I'm going to show you tonight. We're also targeting very heavily traveled roadways for this funding. The first one is East Shepherd Street. East Shepherd Street has a lot of infill development recently, so we have quite a few utility cuts on this roadway. The pavement was not in great shape prior to these cuts, so staff is looking to get it overlaid and get it back into shape before the base fills and we have a more expensive repair that we have to do. The next one is North Maurice Avenue. You'll see a couple sections on the north half up to 91, and then the south side, south of Morton Street. Those highlighted areas are what we're targeting to overlay. There's a distinct portion in the center that's missing, and that's because we overlaid that last fiscal year. So basically, staff is trying to extend or build on what we did last year. This is a very popular cut through for Denison High School traffic. So when this is completed, we'll basically have a very smooth roadway from Woodard all the way north to 91. The next portion is West Crawford Street. Again, we're building off what we did last year. Last year we went from 75 west to Coronado, and this year we're going to take that overlay from Coronado all the way to the county road. There'll be centerline striping on this roadway. It does get quite curvy and is pretty tight. So the part of this overlay contract is centerline striping down this portion of roadway as well. The next one I have is West Day. West Day is interesting. It's kind of where the Katy Trail dead ends. It's a pretty significant elevation change on this roadway. A lot of drainage coming down the asphalt, I think, has created a lot of potholing and cracking. And it's another popular route through town. So we're looking to get this surface restored. Again on West Crawford, but this time we're going to go east of 75. We have a pretty good overlay that was done last year, and that's the stretch in the middle. But there is a lot of surface drainage south from the feeder streets onto Crawford, and a lot of the approaches have suffered a lot of damage from that. So you'll see a little bit of each approach being done. We're doing about 2 to 3 properties up from Crawford on each one of those. And then we're also going to touch more of Crawford to just past Flora where it turns back into concrete. And there is a drainage culvert to the west that we're going to be paving over that also has a lot of issues from water. And the last one I have is West Morgan Street. This is it's kind of a short segment, but this is one I get a lot of complaints on. West Morgan in its entirety has a lot of issues. Unfortunately, most of West Morgan has very old utilities underneath it. So this area, I've been told that it's pretty stable as far as our utilities are concerned. So we're going to overlay this concrete portion from Armstrong to the railroad tracks. Last slide I have is the overlay proposal and all the details there. The price for this came in at $619,580. Like I said earlier, the Streets Committee recommended holding back about $80,000 for a concrete repair that will come before council at a later date, and that's actually going to be for Pool Road, which is a north-south roadway just east of Texoma Medical Center. And with that, I'd be happy to take any questions you might have.
Any questions for Mr. Pereira?
What's the timeline on completion on those?
Our paving contractor, Area Wide Paving, they anticipate about 60 days. Within 60 days, they'd be able to mobilize. And that all depends on weather. And then we're lucky enough to have an asphalt production company nearby. So as long as they're producing and the weather's good, they'll be out here.
So on that West Day Street, which is by where I've lived, I've mentioned a couple times about a sidewalk. I don't know if that could be done after the overlay, or we've mentioned, I don't know if that's been assessed again, go up to the Katy Trail, if that's done at the same time. What's the efficient way to do that?
That is something that the Public Works Director, myself, and the City Manager went and looked at. Given the elevation change there, that will take some substantial engineering to make happen.
Okay.
I'm not sure that we've allotted funds to do that type of review yet or design, but that would be a significant undertaking given the terrain in that area.
Okay.
I do know that when we work with Area Wide, as we did on West Crawford last year, west of 75, that was a very tight roadway. And if they're able to, they will expand, they will basically overlay as much area as they can to maximize the width. And they are also very good about taking down vegetation along the roadways.
Councilmember Courtright, as he said, we've looked at that recently because of the drainage in there, as you're very familiar with, and the side of the street just drops off. That's going to take a little more engineering to think about that, to come up with a price on what it would take to build that. And then we have the hill to deal with there too. So it's not forgotten, it's something we're looking at now, and we'll try to come up with some kind of an estimate on what it would be.
Yeah, I understand. Thank you.
Good question. Any other questions, comments? All right, is there a motion for item number 6A?
I move to approve the purchase of street overlay services in the amount of $619,580 from Area Wide Paving LLC and authorize the interim city manager to execute any associated documents.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Redwine, a second by Councilman Courtright. Any other questions, comments, discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Councilman Massey votes aye via the televideo. Now we have a project update, item number 7. Ms. Tate, you're welcome back for a third time.
This evening, I have a project update for you on the 5-year consolidated plan, and I'm going to say all the acronyms for Councilman Courtright tonight for the Community Development Block Grant funding that we have from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. This year, we have given you a project update once already, and this is required through our process by HUD that we need to provide this other update before we go into a public hearing at the next meeting on July 21st. So just to let you know where we stand, we have our 5-year consolidated plan completed. Along with that, we have to do annual action plans. So we have the first year action plan done as well. And then we also have to develop a citizen participation plan. In order for us to meet our obligations for the community participation, we have held 2 public information meetings. We've had individual interviews with community stakeholders and focus groups, and we've distributed a survey to the community as well that was available online, through social media, and paper copies were available. We received 377 responses, which is quite good for that survey. And from that, we took out the feedback that we received will not surprise you. There's a need for affordable housing, as we all know. We also know that our low and extremely low to moderate incomes are having a hard time making the repairs that they need to their homes to stay in their homes. And we're also aware of the need for a balance between owner and renter occupied homes. So moving forward, we will be focusing on those items again. It's no different really from what we did in the last 5-year consolidated plan. Demolition has been removed so that we can focus more on putting money back into the emergency rehab and repair program. Also, code enforcement is paid out of CDBG funds, part of their salaries, a third comes out of that. Our next step, as I said, will be to take the draft consolidated plan. We have to make it available for 30-day comment period. We'll notice in the newspaper tomorrow. I'll send that to the newspaper, and as soon as it's published, that 30-day public comment period will take place. Then we'll bring this back to you for a public hearing on July 21st. And at that point in time, we will be able to make our submittal to HUD for the next 5-year consolidated plan, which has to be submitted by August 16th. So we hope to have that first week of August. So we've met all of our deadlines. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Ms. Tate? All right,
Thank
you
you
very much. That's an information-only item. So we move to item number 8, executive session. There is no need for an executive session this evening. So I would like to say again, thank you everyone for coming. Thank you to our staff for all that you do for our great city. Thanks to IT for getting Councilman Massey hooked in for us tonight. I thought it worked well. Josh, any comments there?
Thanks, Doug.
Okay. Any other items? All right. It's 7:27, and this meeting is adjourned.